So I'm sure you've heard the news of the passing of Charlie Kirk. Now, I wasn't a, follower of him. I don't really know much about him other than his business was called Turning Point. And it brought to mind, could this be a huge turning point in the United States? And today's 9/11. This was what at the time we thought was going to be a big turning point. It didn't really. It kind of galvanized and brought people together for a very short period of time. But looking back on it, it was something that was probably negative in the long term in regard to using that response, because the response led us into Afghanistan and Iraq and these things that I would say a lot of people don't really agree with, 100% now. Maybe the fight on terrorism we do agree with, but the way that we went about it, not so much. So when I look at something like Charlie Kirk and him going, and say what you want about what he was doing. Like I said, I don't know much about him. I'm gonna start paying attention a little bit more. But there goes the entire turning point concept. Is when someone has an idea and they have an opinion and they have a business and they have a movement and they have their people that agree with them and what have you. If that person's out there and they're saying things and you want to expand their message, there's no better way of doing that than killing them. Now, I'm not saying there's some conspiracy that someone from his own camp killed him to spread his message. I'm just talking about history, my experience with history when I look in the history books, because there hasn't been someone assassinated in the political level, in this type of, in my lifetime, it hasn't happened. There hasn't been there was recently a CEO got killed. There hasn't been a big profile death like this from a crazy shooter or shooter. Maybe they're not crazy, but they are, in my essence. Anyone who kills someone is crazy. But this hasn't happened in my lifetime. So it's a long time before these things happen. But when I look back on people like Martin Luther King, Gandhi, Jesus, those people who get murdered, their message gets spread further. Think about all the people that would have never come across Charlie Kirk because they lived in Japan or India or wherever. And now they go, what happened in America? This guy got shot on a college campus. Oh, he was this. Well, why did they shoot him? He's going to influence way more people now because of that. Now, some may say that that's going to be negative because they don't like him. I saw this morning, I shouldn't have watched it, but I did. I watched a couple videos of people celebrating that this man was dead. Now, this man has a wife. He's got 2 kids. I don't care what position you find yourself in. If you're celebrating this, you're sick. You are really tapping into evil, and be careful because that's going to come get you. It doesn't mean that I'm saying someone's going to come and shoot you. I'm saying it's going to get you from within, and it's not good. Check that. Check it now. That is unacceptable. No matter what someone else believes, murder, death is not the answer. So with that being said, if the message is going to be spread, this is one of the most powerful ways of spreading it, is doing something in this extreme way. People could say all they want about Trump. They could say he organized his own assassination. I've heard that before, that he organized his own assassination attempt and he wanted to make himself look like a hero, and he had someone shoot, all right, and it had no intention of hitting him, and it was this thing to make him look good. I've heard people say that. Well, this assassination attempt wasn't organized by Charlie because he's dead. He ain't coming back. He left a wife and 2 kids behind. And this is a tragic moment, but it can be a turning point because it can be more tragedy. There can be a lot more tragedy, or there can be a lot more healing. I am definitely on the let's go for healing side. So what does that mean? What does that look like? First of all, I think the biggest, energy and understanding, or not understanding, but the biggest opportunity to use this in a positive way to it comes with his people, the people that were supportive of him, the people that aligned with his views, whether that, again, I don't know much about him, but Republican, Christian, I guess, something along those, conservative. I don't know much about him, but let's just say that's the side. They have a huge opportunity. If they look at this and say, this justifies all of our anger towards these other people who have been spewing this hate, and these people need to go down, and it could go bad really quickly. An eye for an eye. It seems justified, right? Like I said before, it's never justified. Death is not the answer. Murder is not the answer. So it could go that way really quickly. We are very unstable right now. We are very polar opposites. Like I said, people were celebrating this, laughing. This guy was going up on college campuses and these people were saying, I'm glad somebody had to do it. All right. Literally saying those things about this person because they disagreed with his point of view. Charlie Kirk wasn't going out and murdering people. He wasn't going out and beating people. He wasn't going out, and he was saying, let's have conversations. That is something that I did say. He says, when we stop being able to have conversations, we lose our humanity and it leads to death. Wow. That's exactly what ended up happening. That person did not want to have a conversation. They wanted to end any conversation with Charlie Kirk, and look what happened. Disgusting. But the opportunity lies with his supporters, a huge opportunity. Another opportunity lies in the people that know nothing about him, right? They are going to then see this and go, hey, there's got to be a better way. Maybe they look at Charlie and maybe they don't agree with what he was saying overall, but that one concept of, hey, we need to be able to communicate with one another. And if we just are at polar ends and we're just yelling at each other via Twitter or via on these social media platforms, and we don't actually come together and look at the commonalities, look at the similarities between us, we keep looking for these differences, at some point we're going to be justified in murder and anger. And I think a lot of people who are moderate, like myself, I don't align with anything because I think you're all wrong. And so I look at things and I go, I like this, I like that, I like this, I like that. I take it from everything. I'm my own person. I've had my own experiences. And so when I think any of this polarity stuff is just crazy to me. So when I see this, I go, death is not the answer. And I go, well, what are the responses? How are these people going to act? I look at it and I go, who do I want to be around? I see these things and I try to make the most sense of it. And so I look around and who do I want to be like? Do I want to be like the people that riot in the streets, or do I want to be the people who are coming together and supporting their community and supporting each other? And so again, the response from someone who's more neutral is going to be a big tell. If I look and I see that these people now are justified in their anger, and and they start using Charlie Kirk's death as a way to say things and do things in a negative way, I'm not going to align with that. Then on the other end, if these people then come out and say things like that I've heard, which is crazy, that this was justified and that he deserved to die and that and it just gives them more fuel and they don't have any remorse towards it, that's going to be really, really, I think, telling for the future. Because what happens when, let's just say, that person who hates Charlie Kirk, what happens when someone that they're aligned with today starts saying things that they don't agree with, and they don't believe in freedom of speech because they believe that they're right? They're going to kill their brother. They're going to kill their sister. They're going to kill their friend because of something. Because what's the difference? It's just a disagreement. You're just wrong. So why not die? They already said that they're justified in this, that this was retribution, that this is good. And it's, again, it could go real bad real quick, but it could also bring a coming together. Those people on that side could say, yeah, maybe I disagreed with him, but this is not the answer. He was right about coming together. And as much as I hated him for the way that he spoke and the things that he was saying because I disagreed, he has a right to his disagreement. And the moment that I take away someone else's right, my right to be taken, my freedom of speech, my right to say what I feel and believe is true, can be taken away too. If I can take it from someone else, who's going to stop them from taking it away from me? And that's always what ends up happening. And that's something that I think we can all come together on. Not everyone's going to agree on everything. I disagree with everyone on everything. That's who I am. But in regards to these political things, everyone's going to have little differing opinions. What happens when you're the odd man out? You're right today, but what happens when it's wrong tomorrow? That's not a good place to be. That's why the foundations of this country, I've got my, USA, freedom shirt on, 9/11, but it's Constitution. It's the way that this country was built off of free speech and free ideas. May the best ones climb to the top. That's what this is all about. And when you start suppressing and when you start saying that people's deaths justified because they disagreed with how you felt at that time, because no guarantee that your views and opinions won't change in the future, that's when things go wrong. It's happened so many times before. And the fact that we're not seeing that, or these people don't see that, is sad to me, because we have so much access to information. How do you not know what's happened in the past? Because maybe people don't want to look at it, or maybe they want to interpret it in a different way. I think that this is a huge turning point, could be a huge turning point for good or for bad. I hope for good. Again, it's in our hands. It's in the people's hands. It's always been in the people's hands. So what are we going to do with it? How are we going to respond to it? There's more to be revealed. We'll see as time goes on. But I hope in my heart that the people who love Charlie don't use this in a negative way, and they can bring more people together. I hope the people that knew nothing about him can take the good parts of his message. Like myself, I don't know much about him. I'm going to start looking him up and take the good and move that along into the future. And I hope the people that disagree can start to see some of the similarities. Maybe they had a family. Maybe they had a wife. Maybe they had a husband. Maybe they had kids. Maybe they can just start seeing that on a human point of view, regardless of what they thought about his beliefs. Just look at it as a human. Maybe we can turn this into something good in the long term. Because I look at those deaths in the past, and how did it work out for the people who disagreed with Jesus, who wanted him on that cross? Like I said, it spread the message in the opposite direction all over the earth. How did the people that were racist and thought, yeah, down with that Martin Luther King guy. JFK is another one, but down with that Martin Luther King. Just screw that black guy. All right, he deserved to die. How'd that work out for them? Not too well. How'd it work out for the racists with Gandhi? Didn't work out well for them. How's it going to work out this time? The side of death usually does not prevail. So if you're on that side, check yourself. Understand where you're at in history. And if you're on the other side, don't use it as a way to strike down vengeance. Use it as a way to bring people together. And I think that Charlie would probably want that more than anything, if he really believed in some of the things that I've heard him say. Like I said, I know a little bit about bringing people together was one of his things. Regardless of your views, let's get back into that humanity. I think that's what he would want. So anyways, sad news on all the fronts, but hopefully we can change for the better. Until next time, I'll see you then.